Hey all, I'm Insetic, and with me is Turo,
Hello.
and welcome to the Let's Replay of Amped 2. Amped 2 is a 2003 snowboarding game developed by Microsoft Game Studios for the original Xbox. As you see, I am emulating it with Xemu, and I think this game is definitely up there with the other kind of classic extreme sports games like Tony Hawk and SSX as one that you need to play. Now, what separates this game from those is that it's very systems heavy, very mechanics heavy, where if you work within the systems that the game has, that's kind of really your path to success. And the game also rewards patience, precision, and sometimes coming back with a different mindset, coming back with a different viewpoint. This is definitely not a game you can just pick up immediately and play, but as I'm proving by, doing this much later, plus some of what I've done, years ago, your opinion can definitely be changed on this. So my original Let's Play was 10 years ago, basically, like early 2015, when I had sort of just first picked up the game, and I definitely bashed my head against parts of it for a while. Then I returned to it like 5 years ago or so, several years later, and again, saw it from a fresh perspective, understood things a lot more, did several like speed runs of it and owned the mountain guides, and so now I'm here as sort of a break glass in case of emergency replay of, getting something out there, again, emulated to show that can work, and also show off, what I want to show now about the game.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been badgering you about this for a while, sort of half jokingly, but it's a game that I think is worthy of looking at again. Sort of like it's sort of like Toxic Grind as well. It was a game that you looked at so long ago, and I mean, your perspective on games can change in that time,
Right. So, then real quick, what will this LP have, or LRP, I don't know. What will this have, what will this not have? This will not have the full Own the Mountain parts of the mountain, where I go and get all the gaps and the snowmen. I did do a series about that a while ago, and so that will not be on video this time. I will not redo those. However, I will do, with some exceptions, as much as I can, when I get to a certain mountain. So, for example, I'll get the high scores and media scores. I'll do the 3 sponsors, 3 photo shoots, and any pros. Again, with some exceptions, like Pro 3s, you unlock Pro 3s so late, I'm thinking of just saving those as their own video. But yeah, let's talk about what we see here when you just load up a level and go into kind of the Own the Mountain. You're given some high score challenges, as well as, several things to do across the mountain. You saw me pause and show off the tricks. I will also be doing at least 3 out of 5 tricks when I go to every mountain to get the rank there. But then you saw a gap where it'll show you where to kind of take off, and, maybe it's an air gap, maybe it's a rail-to-rail gap, but where to take off and land at. And there are 5 of those scattered across each mountain. There are also 8 snowmen scattered across each mountain, which you'll hear, with their kind of annoying voices going, yeah, yo, or something like that. And you need to find 5 of 8 of them to get a rank, all 8 of them to, collect that. And then if you do all tricks, gaps, and snowmen, you get an additional Own the Mountain rank and an additional video to watch. So again, you can consult my previous guide for that. And if I do, go all the way to the end of the game and do something with, the Legends or something, again, that will all have been done off camera.
Yeah. Myself, Insetic, of course, has beaten this game several times, on camera, off camera. I've beaten this game, I think it's twice now. I had this game it feels weird to say as a kid, because I bought it around...
You're still a kid in all of our eyes.
I bought it around the time of Insetic's first LP, which would have been around the time I was 12, 13, and I didn't beat it until it's probably 5 or so years ago was the first time I beat it. So it definitely took me a while. It's not a game, I think, that a 12-year-old will just breeze through. It demands a lot of patience.
Yeah, it's about the mechanics of it, and especially the main mechanic is the style mechanic, where it's kind of shown in the tutorial, which you can watch my previous kind of part 0 for the tutorials of this game. But if you go off a jump and you just hold the spin or flip stick all the way, sure, you'll spin and flip as fast as you could. But if you hold it kind of halfway, kind of hold it more smoothly, you'll spin slower or flip slower and build up style, which is the orange bar that shows up at the bottom of the screen when you're in the air and doing a trick. Let's see, none showed up there because I was showing off, like, the triggers, for example, let you kind of shift your body and come around on spins that you might not normally come around on. But yeah, so there's spin and flip style for spinning, flipping slower. There's also tweak style with the triggers. So when you're doing a grab and you tweak it with one of the triggers, you can kind of half hold in the trigger as well and get more style there. You can also style on rails through the same way. So that style system really is where the points are just going to fly. You can more than, your points from styling will soon outpace, if you do it right, will soon outpace your base points, like, to a ridiculous degree. And so that is really where kind of the gameplay loop comes in, of, like, going off of a jump, getting the thumbstick just in the right spot to do a slow spin over, getting a trigger in just the right spot to start racking up that style and seeing everything that it'll get you. Hearing that sound effect as it all builds up, and then you land with just so much points.
I mean, I'd never really thought about it before, but it's also sort of like the style mechanic being such a core feature of this game. A product of its time feels like a weird thing to say for something that, it's not inherently 2000s, but also, if you think about it, this is a first-party original Xbox game at a time where, like, triggers, specifically triggers, were, like, analog triggers were new for console gaming, and like the analog sticks as well. I mean,
right.
I think the
best way to play this game is on original hardware with an original first-party controller. The worst way to play this game is on original hardware with any third-party controller, or potentially on Xbox 360. I've never found the 360 controllers to be very good at doing the style thing. But what I'm showing here is that emulating the game, the style actually works pretty well. Now, I am kind of holding back in the first few levels, to kind of play not more like a newer player, but play not to the extent of the style capability. I feel like it would be, a little bit of a, a little weird to see someone styling all over the place when the whole point of this is to, kind of introduce people into the game. But I'm playing on, emulation with a Xbox One controller, and that is, I've found, pretty much perfectly fine. Now, there are a few weaknesses, but I can get more into those later, and again, you'll see that I'm still able to get a bunch of style. Now, what we're looking at is some of the challenges that you'll unlock for getting the high score and media scores in the mountain mode. So we're looking at sponsor challenges, where a sponsor will want you to do a specific type of trick to, appease them, get that bar at the top all the way up to the very right section, the amped section, and you will need to do what they want. For example, this guy likes grabs, so, hey, you can actually do other air stuff as long as there's a grab included, but you saw me do a grind, or right there, you saw me do just a spin, and you got, no points from it. So you need to keep in mind, what's in front of you, what are your opportunities, what can you do, what can't you do, and again, just, you don't need to plan your entire run, but just, again, think, what are you capable of, what is your character capable of? And do that to pass.
And I think we'll see this later, especially. I think it's good practice. If you're picking up this game because of this LP, I think it is good practice to get the high scores and medias first, because sponsors in particular, the later, harder ones, require a bit of map knowledge. It'll ask you to do specific things that you'll realize that you can really only do in specific parts of the map. And I think that's a pretty core, facet of the later sponsor challenges, both in the later per level and the later levels as well. Because there's a weird skill curve where each challenge has 3 tiers per level, and each level gets harder. So it's Millicent 1, which is this level, the first level, is sponsor 2 harder than the next level's sponsor 1? At one point, does Millicent 2 sponsor become as hard as this level's sponsor 1? But at a certain point, map knowledge will become necessary. They're not going to be asking you to do spins forever. They're going to ask you to start doing more specific things.
And so then we're also moving on to the next type of challenge, the photo shoots. And what you're actually seeing here is, I think this photo shoot 1 is a very good kind of practice for you figuring out spin flip style or grab style or tweak style. If you can handle the that camera shutter sound effect, happening a bunch of times, if you're okay with that, this jump, it puts you right in front of the jump. You can restart immediately, get there, and really practice everything you want to do style-wise, or with big jumps, with enough time to figure out, okay, what's too little, what's too much. But yeah, with the photo shoots, I'd say, these are where you basically need to follow the line they give you. This is sort of the precision that the game is going to ask you for. Follow the line they give you, and also fill out the bar up at the top by getting the points that they require from you.
Yeah. And for a good long while, much longer than the sponsor example I was talking about, you really don't need to worry about the points. If you're following the line as it's intended, especially for the first few levels, you'll probably triple the point total. I think it's really only later where a few times it'll be like a gotcha. It'll be you thought you could just do the line and you would get enough points, but no. You gotta think about points.
This first photo shoot might be the first challenge that kind of gives you some problems, because you really need to get the perfect kind of jump to even really start it. And then this photo shoot specifically is also teaching you about getting off balance by getting your balance bar to one side and then jumping off and jumping to the left or to the right. Here in this case, it's, literally to the right. But, that one, you need to start putting a few more pieces together. And then, also, sometimes you'll get these videos, which I'm going to play this video through. We don't need to, silence and listen to it. But, they interview the professionals that are in this game for, several things, or interview, people talking about their brands or so. And I think it's, kind of interesting. And I think I did a stream once where I just played all of those in a row. All of the videos in a row. So, yeah, it's just kind of an interesting addition. But let's see, we talked about, another great thing about this series, the whole AMP series, in fact, is the music. Instead of getting, really big name artists to try to sell the soundtrack and sell the game off of that, instead they pulled literally hundreds of songs from more minor labels across, several genres. And so, there's over 300 songs in this game by bands that you'd never have heard of. There's actually some from, very early bands like Taking Back Sunday and such starting their career, but mostly bands you probably wouldn't have heard of. But it's that really, early 2000s emo, rock, hardcore, some electronica, hip hop beats, and then surf rock, such as the 6th genre. Yeah, I love the soundtracks to all of these Amped games, and they're definitely worth playing through. What I'm showing here is that each mountain has a mountain preview, where I'll just include these at the end of each video, really. I guess they're kind of cool.
Yeah, they certainly exist.
Certainly preview the mountain. But yeah, you see that there are some challenges that are just locked, and, Pro 1, we'll get to that actually pretty quickly, but Legend will not be a thing until basically the end of the game.
Yep.
But yeah, I hope, again, you see that, AMP 2, I give it the seal of approval, both for just playing in general and for playing on emulation. And I think it's, definitely possible to do that. Now, you will need a controller. And again, maybe there are some third-party controllers that are really not good at having fine-tuned analog sticks or triggers. But a standard, first-party controller, I think would do just fine. So yeah, that was Millicent 1. Next time, join us for the second level, Breckenridge.